time to pull up a chair and talk some Dynasty football. I am your host, JJ Wenner, and this is the Rider Dynasty Podcast. First up tonight are our second-year breakout candidates. Now, everybody's in the midst of rookie fever, and because they are drafting, they see the disappointing rookies of yesteryear on their rosters. Now, I'm looking directly at you, Brian Edwards, and your paltry 11 reception campaign. Now, tonight we are going to give you 6 candidates primed for a year 2 breakout. Joining me at the table is Double D, Don Detweiler. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. It's always good to be back on with you guys. And, this is the best time of year for Dynasty in particular. But as long as there's a draft going, this is awesome. Be it startup or just the rookie drafts, this can really change your team and give you the opportunity to not just fix yourself, but contact those managers that you don't always get a hold of easily to try and set up things for later.
Smart to plan for the future. I am also joined by the man who puts the in Texas, Rob Mongol. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm not sure if that's the appropriate response after that intro there, though.
I think that is the most appropriate response. Well, Rob, you are up first. Who is your first second-year breakout candidate?
My first candidate is Michael Pittman Jr. He's a 6'4" receiver from USC. He didn't do a whole lot last year. He had a few solid games, nothing to write home about. But I absolutely loved his college tape. He has a huge catch radius. He's great at high pointing the ball. He reminds me a little bit of Alshon Jeffrey, and I'm hoping Carson Wentz gets that same feeling that I do right here. There's not a lot in Indianapolis right now. We've got the shell of T.Y. Hilton. We've got maybe Paris Campbell can stay healthy for a season. He's already out of sight, out of mind to me. There's not a lot of target competition, and I think Pittman is primed to make that second year leap. I think he can finish in the low 20s, maybe around wide receiver 22 this year. I'm not predicting a full wide receiver 1 breakout here, but if he's even 80% of what Alshon Jeffrey was, 75% of what Alshon Jeffrey was during the Carson Wentz years, we're looking at a double-digit touchdown guy with about 960, 950 receiving yards here, and I want that on my team.
Now, Rob, the last time Frank Reich coached Wentz, they ran the ball 473 times. Now, with the vastly superior Indianapolis backfield, are we worried that Reich is going to try to protect Wentz even more and run the ball 500-plus times?
That is certainly a concern. Jonathan Taylor is a better running back than anything that he had in Philadelphia. But again, I go back to less target competition. Last time we saw Wentz in a Frank Reich offense, he had Zach Ertz. I believe he had Dallas Goedert still. Maybe Frank Reich was already in Indianapolis, but there's a lot of target competition. Alshon was maybe the 1A at best. Zach Ertz was getting fed constantly, and there is not that tight end on the team. So I'm confident that Michael Pittman will get his. And I think we started to see the breakout towards the end of the season. In the wild card loss to the Bills, he had 10 targets. He caught 9 of them. He had 90 yards, no touchdowns, which was a little disappointing. But there's definitely a solid foundation. And say what you will about Carson Wentz, but he's got a much stronger arm than Phillip Rivers, and he will be looking further down the field than Phillip Rivers did.
Yeah, I like that fit. I like the player, and he's definitely going to have his road to targets for sure. They did virtually nothing to really bolster that passing game, save bringing in the new quarterback. So it's very interesting. They have a very diverse backfield, and they'll do a lot with that. But I can't see them toting out 500 carries between the 3 backs. So it'll be really interesting. And fun fact, it's possible that Zach Ertz gets chopped on June 1 here by the Eagles because of salary cap concerns. And wouldn't it be just so wonderful to see him trot his way over to Indy? It's like getting the band back together.
I would absolutely love that, and I was a little surprised it didn't happen when they traded for Wentz. I thought there's a strong possibility he'd be included.
It's like getting the band back together if that band was Nickelback. Well, let me share my first second-year breakout candidate. Now, excuses are like buttholes. Everyone has one, and they all stink. But let's talk about the facts. Tua was injured entering last offseason and did not get the full quota of practice time running up to the preseason. COVID cut short Tua's practice reps during both the preseason and the regular season. Yes, I do know that Fitz came into close 2 games and was successful against the Raiders. But come on, people are now saying that Fitz was the better QB last year. They both went 5-3 in their starts, except Fitz, 3 of his wins were from the Jets and the Jags. So, come on now. I'm a Jets fan. That wasn't a hard win. So, be prepared this year for a Tua with better weapons. They added Fuller. They added Waddle to Parker to Preston Williams. They added Malcolm Brown, a good grinder to the running back room, right? They gave depth to the OL, and they added Hunter Long to the tight end room. And Tua is another year removed from that hip injury. The Dolphins are ascending, and Tua is the reason. Get on board with Tua this year.
Well, boy, the Dolphins really have to hope you're right, JJ. It's very interesting. I will, full disclosure here, I'll go back to, I did not like Tua coming out of college. I just didn't trust the health and injury record. But we always loved the intangibles. And he's definitely a guy that exudes that leadership quality. Now we'll see if the arm talent and everything backs it up, because he has all the weapons. And what was a very vanilla offense is going to be very dynamic, because they have guys who can do just about everything you would want.
I'm with Don. I'm a little hesitant on jumping on the bandwagon. Tua has a lot of things that I do love. Unfortunately, he throws with his weak arm. I have a little bit of question about his velocity, his power. Maybe some family counseling and a switch to his right hand would instill a little more confidence in me. I don't have a problem with Tua. I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. But the way the Dolphins seem to want to use him, again, it's year one, not a lot of weapons. He could take a big leap forward. I see him more as having a Baker Mayfield type career, someone where you're not thrilled to start him, but a great quarterback to you.
Bringing out the shake and bake.
I don't like any of that, but we'll see what happens. Don, you're up next, sir.
All right, well, let's start with Cam Akers here. Cam Akers was in an interesting position. He came into a loaded backfield and really kind of had to wait his turn. It wasn't until December that he actually was able to start getting a real footing in the backfield and get the carry share that he really needed. I mean, he finished the year with 625 yards. It's good enough for 32nd. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns and stuff. That's great. But the 145 attempts, which was what really needed the change. But here's what really happened to him. The playoffs, he absolutely blew up. They started giving him a higher percentage of touches. He was allowed to dominate that ground game, and he showed out in a huge way. He put on an absolute clinic in the 2 playoff games, and the rookie led all backs in offensive yards with 272 in his 2 playoff games, including 49 touches combined. So that grades out by PFF standards to 84.8, which is outstanding. And starting from December, when they started to ramp him up and get him to around that 17 touches per game mark, he absolutely blew up. So we're looking for that to continue, because now the only person he has to fend off is a third-year back out of Memphis. The Memphis guys keep turning up in Henderson. And I think the 2 of them can form a very interesting backfield tandem with the new quarterback they brought in Stafford, and what should be a more dynamic offense with Tutu Atwell burning the top off of defenses and not allowing defenses to pack the line of scrimmage. So I think there's a tremendous amount of potential here for Cam Akers, provided he can keep himself together.
You are a science teacher, correct?
I am.
What's the difference between potential energy and kinetic energy?
Potential energy is the energy of something sitting still. So if an object is on the ledge of something, it's storing potential energy that as soon as it is tipped over, it can convert into kinetic energy, the energy of motion.
After the end of last season for Cam Akers, do you think that he has potential energy? Or is he kinetic energy at this point?
I think he's already transitioned into the kinetic energy phase, and we're rolling here.
So he's not a breakout candidate. He's a broken out candidate.
You know, it's interesting because out of the fantasy context, because the playoffs do exist outside of the fantasy realm, he happened at the end of the season. So I would say that he was a burgeoning star, and he was absolutely disappointing in the first 10 games of the season. He started to pick up, but he didn't have a 100-yard game until week 12 against New England when he absolutely shredded the Patriots, which warms my heart.
I didn't think you were going with Akers first, so tell me, who do you have second?
Well, since I knew I was going back-to-back, I had to do something to surprise you. We do have a doc here. So second is Jerry Jeudy here, and for Jerry Jeudy, the hype train was enormous. Everybody was coming out expecting him to be just dominant. The clout coming out of college was he's the most dynamic and polished route runner that you can get out of the college game that year. And he was. He did all those things, and bringing in almost 900 yards receiving for a rookie is pretty darn good. 52 catches, not so bad. 16.5 yards per catch, pretty darn good. 3 TDs, a little light. But then again, it was in Denver with a, let's be nice here, questionable quarterback situation. There, that was nice. So, the whole 113 targets translates only to a 46% catch percentage, which isn't so bueno. But that's growth potential here because he's already got the targets in the offense. The explosion could happen if he only converts about a third more, bringing him beyond to basic league average. If he can get himself to a 65 to 70% catch percentage, still on that 113 targets, that puts him over the 1,100-yard threshold. Natural progression would dictate that there would be another 2 or 3 touchdowns in there, and we're now not talking about a wide receiver 32. We're talking more about a wide receiver 20. And that's substantial growth, particularly in the deepest position group in fantasy game.
Do you think he is going to be able to see his ceiling with who they have in the quarterback room in Denver?
Denver obviously thought enough of Drew Lock to skip quarterback at 9 and take a corner to try and plug some of the defensive deficiencies. They hedged that with Bridgewater, so if Lock turns out to be the colossal flop, I feel like he's going to be on a short leash here. If they have to go to Teddy, he brings you at least league average quarterback play. So even with league average quarterback play, does he give you, or is he able to reach everything that he is possible of? That's only if Lock works out. Because that's not going to happen with Teddy. He'll bring you good, but not tremendous. So here we are hoping for super solid quarterback play. But he does have things working in his favor. Cam Sutton will be back. He'll no longer face all of the coverage and just get some of the coverage. And that's a huge opportunity for him.
Rob, where are you with Jeudy?
I'm close to in line with Don here. I'm not that worried about the quarterback play. I think he gets fed the ball no matter what. My biggest concern is Cortland Sutton eating into the targets. Is there enough volume to feed all the weapons? And Denver has an amazing skill positions. You know, wide receivers, tight ends, you name it. They're loaded. Is there enough mouths to feed with just adequate quarterback play? I'm not sure Drew Lock can feed everyone. Teddy Bridgewater, at least in Carolina last year, seemed to feed 2 wide receivers at a time. He rotated to Curtis Samuel towards the end of the season. It was Robbie Anderson at the very beginning, and DJ Moore was always going to get his. I could see something similar happening in Denver, and I would not be upset by that. I think Jeudy definitely takes a leap forward under that scenario, and I mean, ideally, Aaron Rodgers gets traded there, and we're all thrilled. He can feed every bit of that offense and then some.
That would definitely be interesting. I don't know if I want John Elway in Denver to win another Super Bowl, though. I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't be heartwarming for me. All right, now I'll give my second pick. This may not be super popular, and I'm honestly probably a year early on this call. But my second breakout candidate is Mr. 70s funk band himself, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, DBJ, he had a quiet rookie season, amassing only 20 targets. He did score 2 TDs on 14 receptions. However, advanced stats show that he is primed to break out when given the chance. He ranks 6th in the league with an ADOT with 16.6 air yards per target. He actually reminds me of a younger OBJ, except without the headaches. So Odell, if we're being honest, is probably going to be cut after this year, right? After this year, if they cut him, they're going to save $15 million against the cap. Jarvis Landry could probably also be cut after this year. After this season, if they cut him, they save $15 million against the cap. Right now, those 2 wide receivers are their highest paid players, eating up most of their cap space. So, one of them is going to be gone, and I think Odell is definitely the squeaky wheel who might be cut loose. So, jump on some shares of DPJ now before this season. You might have to stash him. You might have to eat a down year where he gets a little bit of play when OBJ is out for 8 games, as he usually is. But once OBJ is gone, he's going to be the guy to go to in Cleveland. Yes. Now, Rob, you told me you didn't like my call, so go ahead.
It's exactly like you hinted at. I think you're a year early here. I don't think there's a room for Donovan Peoples-Jones if OBJ and Landry are healthy. Cleveland loves to run 2 tight end sets, and Baker Mayfield, for some reason, likes Rashard Higgins. I have no explanation for that one. That I just worry about his targets. You know, last year, even with OBJ out, he only got more than 3 targets in a game once. I didn't see a whole lot to write home about his rookie year. I think it will take him a while to adjust to the NFL, given he wasn't used properly at all in Michigan, and I can see a breakout coming in another year or so. But I think we're jumping the gun a little bit here.
So, Rob, when was the last time you wrote home about anything?
Oh, constantly. I write letters to my mom on at least a bi-weekly basis.
You are a liar.
Yeah, but my mom never listens to this podcast, so she'll never be able to disagree.
Very good. Very good. Well, Rob, why don't you finish this off?
All right, my second-year breakout player is Jalen Hurts. It's another difficult one, just like Cam Akers. He started to break out down the stretch. He had a handful of starts at the end of the season. But I want to go beyond just 2021 and say he breaks out and keeps his job in 2022. Jalen Hurts has done nothing but win at the college level. We have a very limited sample size at the pro level. He had no weapons to throw to last year, a depleted offensive line. But he did show some major passing improvements his senior year at Oklahoma. And he's got a massive rushing upside. I love his deep ball. And he can obviously scramble his way out of nearly any situation. The things that worry me are he locks on his first read often. And, if he can work through some progressions, increase the completion percentage this year, he needs to make a big step forward in the completion percentage. I think he's a lock to keep this job, beyond 2021, beyond this year.
Now, I am not sure how the city is going to embrace Hurts after seeing Cunningham and Vic fail to deliver a championship. Do you think Hurts can develop enough as a passer to warrant Philadelphians' brotherly love, Don?
No, I really just don't. He doesn't read defenses that well. Yeah, he looked great at Oklahoma, but throwing against those defenses, you better. Last time we heard anybody out that way playing defense will be the next time that it happens. That conference is known for allowing air raid to just go crazy, and Oklahoma is an absolute juggernaut in that setting. So, yeah, he went there and looked good, but he had all the weapons and he had all the talent to do it. Now, he still had to perform. We praise people when they do, and he did. But, boy, he didn't once the league figured him out after 2 weeks in Philadelphia last year. The first time he came in, he looked like a spark plug. He definitely has some mobility to use that and expand the offense and to get himself out of trouble. But his mechanics stink, and his accuracy stinks, and I'm sorry, I just don't see it. And it's a shame because the guy's big on intangibles. Every coach ever interviewed about him has nothing but glowing things to say. It's a shame, but I just don't see it.
Rob, I'm going to lean more in your direction. I think that he is going to develop a little bit of a passing game. They have a lot more weapons now around him, which should help a lot. Adding Kenny Gainwell, I just put him in the slot. I mean, he would be the best receiver that Jalen Hurts would have seen in a little while in that team. Devonta Smith, another year of Rager with an off season. I think Devonta Smith is going to have the weapons around him that he might be able to make that offense hum. But it's tenuous.
I'm with you. It's a little scary, but down the stretch last year, his most reliable option was Quez Watkins and the tight ends, and that's gross. Also gross is his 52% completion percentage. That's not starter worthy. Lamar Jackson also threw in the 50% or above 50, but below 60 his rookie year. He needs to make a similar leap forward his second year and get into the mid-60s. I think adding Devonta Smith, a healthy Jalen Reagor, year 2 in this offense. He's got 2 good tight ends for now. And Philadelphia also took an offensive lineman in the second round, a healthier, better depth along the offensive line. Maybe he makes that leap forward. I think my biggest issue is the poor completion percentage, and I disagree. I think Hurts has good mechanics most of the time. I think when the pocket breaks down, he's under pressure, he makes some ugly throws, and I think the second-round offensive lineman here and a healthy O-line goes a long way, just as far to improving his accuracy this year as adding someone reliable like Smith.
It is absolutely fair to say that he will have the best targets he's ever seen, and it's absolutely fair to say that when he came in last year, that they had a Pee-wee squad to throw to, because that's what they had. So, yeah, he's going to get a look. It's going to be a one-year look, and they're going to make a real call at it at the end of the year. With 3 firsts next year, they have the ammo to get up to whatever they need for whatever they feel like. So, the danger here is that Hurts teases you, shows you just enough to make you think, well, maybe he can do it, and then you miss. And then your chance to get a quarterback is gone.
I think even if he teases you, he's probably delivering a top 6 fantasy season, even if it doesn't translate on the NFL field, just with the rushing upside. I mean, he was top 3 in his handful of games last season. If I'm a contender, I mean, I'm sending a late first plus for him all day and rolling the dice to have a second quarterback in a super flex league, someone along the lines of Hurts, and just praying he makes that leap forward and keeps a job in the future.
I am invested heavily in him. I traded Jamar Chase straight up for Jalen Hurts. And to me, the upside of Jalen Hurts hitting was so much higher than the upside of Jamar Chase hitting. So to me, it was a no-brainer. We'll see. Everything's a no-brainer until it fails, and then it should have been a brainer. Nobody ever calls them brainers, though. Anyway.
The kids would say big brain.
Maybe they would. All right, gentlemen. Well, it is time for a new episode of Call Me Crazy. That's right. It's Call Me Crazy. The Dynasty world's newest and quite probably the shortest running game show of all time. Now, tonight, each of our contestants will share some strong beliefs about a rookie player. Now, the other contenders will then decide to either Call Me a Genius or
Call Me Crazy.
All right, Don is up first with his favorite rookie.
Oh, he is my favorite rookie. I'm full on fantasy crush here. Najee Harris is primed to be a absolute monster. He's coming into a Steelers offense that has the direct edict from the Rooneys to run the ball like it or not. And there's a lot of historical precedence here for running backs catching on and being fed the rock until they basically can't take it. And that's what Pittsburgh's going to do here with Harris. When Lev Bell came in, at his peak years, he was getting the ball almost 26 times a game. D'Angelo Williams, 23 times a game. James Conner, when he started, 21 times a game. Jalen Samuels, even when he was forced to start, 18. He's going to get the ball at least 20 and more likely closer to 25, 26 times through different means, either be it on the ground or through the air. Steelers are also changing to a zone scheme that mirrors what they did in Alabama, so the run blocking is going to be very different with a new look offensive line that includes more smaller zone scheme type players and less of the power game. That all fits into what Najee Harris does extremely well. Here's the crazy part. People are falling over him, including me, to get him this year because he's by far the best rookie running back available, and I have him finishing this year as RB8 in all of fantasy. I'm expecting 1150 yards. I'm expecting another 400 through the air, and I'm expecting 10 TDs combined. Probably in the neighborhood of 45 catches. Am I out my
Harris, mind? RB8. Well, Rob, I'll let you go first. Is he a genius? Or are you going to call him crazy?
I'm going to call Don crazy here. I'm not convinced he's going to have the receiving work there and the yardage total. I agree he gets to the double-digit touchdowns. He's going to be a touchdown monster. I mean, he's built for goal line work. Pittsburgh's offense is going to move the football. But I still worry about that offensive line. I'm not convinced this is his year. I think he's a fantastic player and is going to be the hands-down best rookie running back out of this class. But it's a little too rich for me.
You know what? I'm going to call you a genius, Don. I'm going to call you a genius. I think Najee Harris is easily the RB8. So we have Rob saying no and JJ saying yes. All right. Next up is me with my rookie crush, Dwayne Eskridge. Now, Eskridge will be the wide receiver version of Chris Carson for Pete Carroll. He's going to be a dog. He ran a 4.33 laser timed. He benches 350. He squats over 500. He's a ferocious blocker. He has and can play defense. This kid is a gamer. Yes, he's old. That sucks. You're not going to be able to draft him and have him on your team for 12 years. Like you're going to keep anybody on your team for 12 years. So what? He should still play 4 to 5 years in this league and is easily worth a second or early third round pick. Now, what do I believe about Eskridge? I believe he will receive a minimum of 60 targets this season as the third option behind DK and Lockett. Between David Moore, Jacob Hollister, and Greg Olsen, there are over 127 vacated targets in Seattle. With 60 targets, I think Eskridge will end up with over 500 yards and 3 TDs this year. Don, am I a genius or am I crazy?
Dude, you're a genius, and I love the fit here. He went to the perfect place. He's going to come in as the RB3, but he's probably going to play more like an wide receiver 3, and he's probably going to play more like the wide receiver 2 as the season goes on, and I expect him to take over Lockett's role here next to DK, and those two just be workout warriors and dynamic performers for the next couple of years. Yeah, he's a little older, so what? He's absolutely polished, and he's in a great fit.
Rob, where do you fall?
I'm a big fan of the player, but I'll again call you crazy here. They just re-signed Lockett. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's locked in at best.
I see what you did there.
Accidentally, but I'll take it. Let's roll with it. I think he's locked in as the third target here at best. Russell Wilson does like his tight ends. We've got Gerald Everett. We've got Will Disley. We've got a whole host of other people that may eat into a target share. I'm not saying they're gonna break out over here.
Sorry.
But I just think Wilson loves his tight ends, and he plays a very similar role to Lockett. I think he starts the year as almost a Lockett handcuff, the way David Moore was last year. He comes in and has a huge game when Lockett or DK miss. I'm not convinced he can eat with everyone else healthy.
All right, so Don called me a genius, and Rob called me crazy. Next up, Rob.
All right, my rookie is Trey Sermon. And my hot take, maybe not so hot take with Trey Sermon, is that he has the second most rookie rushing yards in the league this year behind Najee, and the second most rushing TDs behind Najee Harris as well. I've got him statted out at 850 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns, and he finishes just inside the top 24 as a rookie. So he never really broke out in college. You can count on a few monster games he had down the stretch last year. It wasn't anything to. It wasn't great. I almost said anything to write home about it again, but I don't. I will owe my mom way too many letters if I go that route again. But he has.
Well, Don. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He's got the size. You wish he was a little bit faster, but I think what his film does show is great vision, great anticipation, and a consistent ability to make one cut and go, which is a perfect fit for a Kyle Shanahan offense. I'm kind of envisioning the 2016 Falcons over here with Coleman and Freeman. I think it's a realistic thing. I think it will be him and Mostert. I think pretty much everyone else is going to be an afterthought, barring injury in this offense. Maybe we see a little bit of goal line work with Wilson, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with you. I am so all in on Trey Sermon. I kind of refuse to counter almost anything that you said. I could easily see him coming in second in yards and TDs this year. I'm on board. Yeah, you're a genius.
Yeah, you're nuts. It's not going to happen because of San Francisco just being crazy diverse with their running game and refusing to allow anybody to be a bell cow or even to just monopolize any facet of the game. He's not going to get all the goal line touches, like you said. That's going to get eaten into. He's not going to get all the midfield touches because Mostert's going to cut into that. He's not great at receiving. He can do it, but that's going to be probably Mostert. So it's so broad. The only reason I'd say he even has a chance of being number 2 is because all the other running backs landed in putrid spots to try and take over backfields because Williams didn't wind up anywhere good. He's going to have to deal with Mel Gordon taking a lot of the goal line and close yardage carries. And, I mean, ETN, Lord knows what Jacksonville's going to do with him the more we read about it. I mean, they just went into rookie camp and put him out at wide receiver for most of camp. So you may be right by default, but that doesn't make it good.
But it makes it right. I'm on board with you, Rob. 100%.
Homer Simpson
All right.
said it. 2 sweetest words
Rob,
in the
you're
English
next
language.
up.
Default.
All right, my second, possibly not hot take here is Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields this season is the only rookie to start at least 8 games and average a top 12 quarterback finish with at least 20 points per game fantasy.
Say that again. That was complicated.
All right, sorry. I think Justin Fields is the only rookie quarterback to start at least half of the games this season and average a top 12 quarterback finish. So I set the bar at about 20 points per game fantasy-wise. That would have put him right around top 10 last year. I think certainly Fields can get on the field early on. They've got a bye week. I think it's week 9 with 17 games this with 17 games this year. That leaves him at least 8 games to start, even if they bench him until the bye week. And this is almost more of a negative take on I almost said Trey Sermon again. It's almost as a negative take on Trevor Lawrence than anything. I love Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, but exactly like Don said, what the heck is going on in Jacksonville? I don't like anything Urban Meyer's done this offseason. I don't think he's going to cut it at the NFL level at all. I don't like Darrell Bevell as an offensive coordinator. He takes ETN in the first round when he's got a great running back already. He hired Chris Doyle as the strength and conditioning coach, which was so controversial. He resigned within basically a week. He's added Tim Tebow at tight end. Like, what is going on in Jacksonville? I don't trust Trevor Lawrence to execute at all.
I like how this went from like a positive piece on Fields to like an assassination of the Jaguars. Well, and I'm with you 100%.
I guess I have to assassinate him to push him out of the top 12. But I mean, I absolutely love everything Fields is bringing to the table too. There's been some recent hate, which I don't think is fair, on Ohio State quarterbacks. Haskins hasn't panned out. Fields has epilepsy. His stock slipped a little bit because of it, I think. But he's everything you want in a modern NFL quarterback. He's lightning fast. He's got great arm strength. He's got a quick throw-in motion. Sign me up. He's got Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney. I think he's got two decent tight ends in the ghost of Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet, and an improved offensive line and a solid running game to rely on. I think he can average 65, 70 yards on the ground, and that's going to prop up his fantasy finish, even if he struggles in the air to start the year.
I mean, you can keep playing make-believe. All you want. You're crazy. I'll go first on this. You're crazy. He might start 8 games, but he's not going to be the only one who starts 8 games. And I think if Lance starts more than 8 games, I definitely think he'll have more top 12 finishes. So, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts. And sometimes when I get confused, you know what I mean? Like I'm a Luddite. I'm just going to point at it, say it scares me, and call it crazy. Burn you like a witch. It's crazy. Don?
The man says he's slow and uses a multisyllabic word to do it. Way to go, buddy. No, the best part of this deal is you're trying to say that he's going to outcompete 2 guys that are going to start 17. And that's just not going to be a thing. I'm sorry. It's just lack of opportunity. And who's to say that Dalton doesn't start and do just fine and they let him stay? Fields is going to have to beat him by a bunch to get on the field anywhere before the bye week. So I don't know that happens. Andy Dalton's still capable, and that offense is still going to go. Unless the Bears somehow got the world's easiest second half schedule, which they didn't. It's just not going to be a thing. And I like Fields, but I'm sorry, man. You're just shooting far too high with that one.
And to be fair, I don't know if you were purposefully picking my favorite rookies, but I'm a Fields fiend. I love Justin Fields. I think Fields is going to do great. This is more of an indictment on Matt Nagy and the fact that ship is sinking.
That's fair.
Fields might not get a chance to show what he has under Matt Nagy.
I think he has to show what he has under Matt Nagy. Otherwise, him and that whole front office is out. I think I've got the confidence he starts relatively early to try and save his job, because Andy Dalton's not saving anyone's job.
Preach. That's the only thing that might go for Matt Nagy. But again, that assumes competent coaching. Matt Nagy has proven over and over he is not a competent head coach.
He does find ways to lose.
All right. Well, this Tar Heel is ready to take the NFL just like Jordan took the NBA. Boasting a 4.5 40 with a sub-4 shuttle, 6.8 second 3-cone, Michael Carter is ready to take off with the New York Jets. Now, here are 3 reasons. 1, the Jets have invested in their offensive line and skill positions. Finally, we had a draft where Jets fans said, wow, that felt good. We actually left the draft feeling like somebody was in charge. Reason 2, over 200 vacated carries in the Jets' backfield. Gore, Bell, they're gone. Who else is going to get the ball? Ty Johnson? LaMichael Pirine? Get out of here. Get out of here. It's going to be Michael Carter. Reason 3, Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded head coach. He's going to favor running the ball, especially to minimize the mistakes from our darling new quarterback. Now, it is for these reasons that I believe Michael Carter will post the most fantasy points of any North Carolina rookie. And I'm looking straight at you, Devontae and Diami. Melvin Gordon didn't retire, so Devontae has a major obstacle to carries. Fitz is not a good QB, although we do love his YOLO attitude. Diami, at best, is going to be 4th in targets behind F1, Gibson, Logan, possibly McKissick, and Curtis Samuel. Am I a genius? Or call me crazy?
I think you're a genius. I've got nothing to disagree with that. I love Javonte. I think he's a better running back prospect, but Melvin Gordon's got to eat. He's a veteran there. I think they ride him until the wheels fall off and turn the backfield over to Javonte next season. And exactly like you said, there's not really another North Carolina threat to Michael Carter's reign there. I think he gets every chance to take that backfield by storm. Maybe Tevin Coleman eats into his workload a bit, but I still think he gets a heck of a lot more carries than Javonte Williams does.
Don.
No, dude, you're spot on. Well done. Yet another golf clap. Good job. And you're right. I mean, because so many other running backs ended up in just putrid spots, and the Jets did the most unjetly thing ever, which is double down on building a very good offensive line. I love the selection of Elijah Vera Tucker. That was awesome. And to make an absolute mammoth left side of an offensive line, that's special. Carter, they won't even be able to see him coming through that line. It's going to be great. And I'm going to be just happy for you to have a back that you can be very excited for. Don't worry about the height. Don't worry about the hype. Carter is excellent.
Now, just to be fair and completely honest, that is the easiest prediction that anybody has made. Because I only said he has to beat two specific players. So, although I am going to boast that I'm the first person to get 2 geniuses, it was pretty cheap on my end. Don, why don't you finish us off with maybe your second favorite rookie?
Absolutely. He is my second favorite rookie here in this draft. Terrace Marshall is a monster. I've been talking about him since we started doing the pre-draft stuff. I had him going in the first round. It didn't happen, but he's probably better off, not fiscally, but position-wise, by winding up with the Panthers here, because he ended up back with his old offensive coordinator who knows exactly how to use him. Marshall had 48 receptions in 7 games last season, with 22 of those catches coming in shallow crossers, which is something that Brady absolutely loves to do, along with DJ Moore. That's going to be just crazy watching that offense run. We expect him to just fit right in. He's kind of going to feel similar to what the Saints do with Michael Thomas, kind of route tree in the low vertical going. And I'm expecting him at 6'2", 205 to be the red zone guy. So here's the prediction for you guys. Call me crazy, but I have him leading the Panthers in receiving TDs next year. We can go back and look at it. DJ Moore had 6 last year. Anderson had 6. CMC had 4. I have Marshall coming in at 8 this year as the jump ball guy, and to me, the heir apparent to Anderson next year after Anderson's contract times out. But even if he returns, it's the dynamic speed, 4.33 for a dude that's 6'2", special.
You're a genius.
Rob?
You're a genius. Terrace Marshall's been one of the guys I've been hyping up all offseason. I probably would have called you a genius if you said he'd catch 20 touchdowns this year. I love him. I don't think it's a bad landing spot at all. It's exactly like you said. He's the biggest wide receiver on the team. They don't really have a tight end threat. He immediately becomes a red zone monster down there. And I think he can be used creatively, just like Joe Brady used him at LSU. That guy, Terrace Marshall, coming out of the slot in the red zone, is a terrifying matchup for anyone. You don't know if he's going inside, outside. It's already hard enough to cover someone in the slot, but put a jumbo guy like that down in the red zone and he's going to feast.
Man, I don't know what to think about this one, Don. I'm going to say no. I'm going to call you crazy. I'll tell you why I'm going to call you crazy. Targets. There's a finite number of targets that are going to get split up on that team. You know, last year we saw both. I'm pretty sure they were right around 130 targets for Robbie, right? Right around the same place for. I'm sorry. Around the same place for DJ Moore. I mean, Terrace is going to have to eat into that. Plus, McCaffrey's back. And that's another 100 target guy. Are we going to see 400 target guys on one team? Who does he replace? Like, I get it. I get his connection with Brady. But Robbie also has a connection with Rule that goes back much further than that connection.
And with Sam Darnold.
So, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough targets to make this happen. I hope it does. And I hope for good things, but I'm going to call you crazy on that one.
Yeah, deleting Curtis Samuel and the complete absence of a tight end is where I come up with the targets for him.
I don't think he needs a ton of targets to do it. I think he just feasts on red zone targets. He's definitely not the number one wide receiver, and he doesn't need to be. He's going to be their jump ball guy in the end zone very early on and just continue to build his game out.
Well, don't also forget that Robbie Anderson is probably one of the best jump ball receivers. He is very, very good at contested catches. Unfortunately, everything when he was on the Jets was a contested catch, but not in the same way that we hope it is down there. All right. That's it. Those are our candidates. Those are our beliefs. Gentlemen, that means it's time for tags where we share our final thoughts and let the riders know where they can find us. Rob, why don't you kick us off?
You guys can find me on Twitter and on Reddit at @TheRotoRob. Final thoughts today is, please, for the love of God, someone in the Aaron Rodgers saga in Green Bay. I can't take it anymore. I'm afraid to turn ESPN on or even check fantasy news every morning. Please, for the love of God, just let's just wrap this up. Let's just wrap this up.
I did get a little excited when I saw that Boone's Farm bottle come to life. Chad Kelly was at the Green Bay workout this past weekend.
I actually didn't hate Chad Kelly as a prospect, which is gross considering I think he was like a 7th round or maybe undrafted guy.
He was Mr. Irrelevant. He was actually the final pick of the draft. Mm-hmm. Talent is not the issue.
Never has been.
It's his head.
He's not a big bearing guy, as the youth would say.
No. No. Don.
Well, folks, here we are coming down the stretch. CDC is backing off on a lot of the prior restrictions, and vaccinations are out there for you to get. If you haven't yet, do your part. Any of the scares thus far have been shown to be extremely small. Folks, you may endure 12 bad hours as I did, but you know what? It's far worth it to be able to go outside and go back to having life and fun. So, please, consider doing your part. That makes it easier for us to all go back to the game and all of us to enjoy.
The more vaccines out there, the quicker we can get back. So, hey, if you can, take 2 or 3 vaccines. If you can get 4, 1 in each limb.
Nope.
Is that scientifically right?
No, probably don't do that.
No.
And don't. And no mixing and matching either. If you're on Team Pfizer, you're on Team Pfizer.
You don't have to collect them all. This isn't Pokemon?
It is not Pokemon.
Oh.
Wah, wah.
Well, maybe this will be the last pod, gentlemen. I am at JJ Wenner on Twitter. Thank you, Don and Rob, for coming on tonight and joining us. Thank you to all of the riders out there listening in. Please check out our website, riderdynasty.com, for all of our latest articles. And from all of us to all of you, be safe, be well, and remember, never say anything to make a meeting longer or cut a happy hour short. Boat drinks, my friends. Boat drinks.